What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Dolphins Daily, your daily dose of Dolphins content with your boy Chris Kane. Let's talk about the Dolphins. We have heard a lot in the offseason about the Dolphins and they're trying to rebrand and revamp and clear up some things from last year that we didn't do well and make it better this year. One of those things was like just being more disciplined. One of those things was respecting the coach. One of them was getting tougher. Some of these things we've seen, some we have not seen. One that we don't really get to see as not being part of the team is that we had a big issue with people being late for basically everything, for team meetings, for practices, for functions, for whatever. Guys are just showing up late, just kind of blasé about it. And Coach McDaniel wasn't super forceful about it. It was always a rule, but it wasn't a rule that was well followed. And it kind of started trickling into the idea that coach is soft, team is not disciplined. It started with things like, hey, you guys aren't at the meeting on time. It's, oh, sorry, coach. It's Miami traffic, which we know is atrocious, but this is your job. You get to your job on time most of the time, right? So if you're not showing up on time when you know it's a rule, that means you're breaking a rule. So Coach McDaniel has said that that has been cleared up. Here are his exact words. I haven't found anybody and I haven't changed any of the specific non-negotiable rules. Rule number 3 of our team rules is be on time. I haven't signed any sort of fine letter since maybe one alarm clock issue in week 2 of camp. You acknowledge and attack a problem for a solution, and all you can ask for is this team hasn't been a victim of that. We're on time at meetings trying to get our game right so that we can be in the win column and not the loss. That is awesome. We like to hear progress around here. I will say, as I heard this, my first thought was, well, why can't we be on time on the field? But that's cynical. I know that's a bit much. I should take the win because what he's saying in the quote is, hey, take the win. Guys are doing their job. We set a rule out and then they're following the rule. Bravo. I'm taking this as that's the bare minimum. Being on time is the bare minimum. You shouldn't be congratulated for showing up to work on time. That's in my category. And in fact, you should be a little bit early to work. Maybe that's old school, you know. I know nowadays it's like that casual 5 to 7 minutes. It's like, I'm sorry, parking lot. It's cool for some people. I don't love it. When I'm late, even by a minute, it bothers me deeply because I know I probably could have left my house earlier. I know I could have taken a different route. I know I could have wazed it. I know I could have woken up earlier if it was early in the morning. It bothers me to be late. So when I'm on time for my clients, they don't say, "Hey, you made it." It's just like, "Yeah, I expected you to be here. Where else would you be? This is your job." That's where I'm at. On the field, time still not great, but it's great that we got this one. So I suppose if it was going to go in order, you would have to be on time during all the other stuff off the field to then be on time on the field. So maybe what happened from training camp to now is step one, and step two is getting our time management good on the field. And if we do that, then maybe we can salvage part of the season. So we gotta talk injuries because this is a short week, so we don't have everybody available to play. You already know that Darren Waller is not playing. I said that on Monday, so don't worry about that. But we did have Ethan Bonner and Jalen Wright as full participants in practice today, which means that both are likely to play tomorrow. I think Jalen Wright probably still shouldn't play. Like I would prefer him to get that full 10 days between like now and the next game, so he can be like ready to go. But he may try to give it a go because it's a divisional game. It's a big deal. I'm most excited about Ethan Bonner being cleared to play because he was playing well at corner before he got hurt. And then when he got hurt, we had to start putting in more guys that fold him into the position, which wasn't great. And we know what our secondary looks like. I think that goes without saying. A limited participant in practice today, Jalen Waddle, which I don't love. His shoulder's still giving him trouble. I think he's going to give it a go. We haven't, like, he was limited in practice. He's questionable to play. We hope he plays. Waddle typically is actually pretty good against Buffalo because Buffalo puts a lot of extra attention on Tyreek because they know Tyreek's like our big threat. And Waddle kind of gets to get loose a little bit. And the one time in recent memory we beat Buffalo, it was Waddle getting loose on a 55-yard pass that really set us up to score and eventually win that game. I thought it was good last week too, but it's a short week. I'm sure he got his shot up or what have you to play on Sunday. And then once you do that, you can play through the game, but then the after effects are, oh, I really feel it. So I'm sure there's a fair amount of pain. I really hope he plays because if he doesn't play, that changes our whole scheme. Also, Malik Washington was questionable today, or he was limited in practice but questionable for the game. We need Malik for a lot of reasons. One, he's our main slot receiver. Two, he's going to be going up against Taron Johnson, who is their best corner in the slot. And if Malik, I mean, Taron might end up going to Waddle. It depends on how they do it. But if he does that, then like that's a tough matchup. Typically, that basically means like your third receiver gets taken out in that scheme generally. But Malik is so quick in running routes that I think he could actually still get open, even though I think Taron is a very good corner, and he's our main punt returner. And we saw from last week he can make a splash on punt returns. I don't want to lose that dynamic on the punt return because we have to find ways to supplement our overall team. Special teams is a big way of doing it. Big point of emphasis in the offseason. Hey, get special teams right. We were good at kicking field goals the whole second half of last year. Fantastic. Bad at punt, bad at kick return, bad at coverage in general. Gave up a lot of yards, didn't get a lot of yards ourselves. Let's clear that part up because again, that's the hidden part in the game. We all know a couple years ago, late season, we were leading the division, played Buffalo, played stout defense the whole game. What blew up in the game? A punt return returned by Buffalo. We're up by 4 points in the fourth quarter. We're feeling good. Punt return, touchdown. Whole game blew up. Once we got behind, started pressing on offense. Late game Tua. We know how that goes sometimes. Didn't go well. And all of a sudden, it was like we outplayed them for 3 quarters of this game. And they had one kick return, and that's what blew the game open. It seems like, oh, it's just a thing. But usually in the punt return to go like that, somebody doesn't do their job either. They don't make the tackle or their rush lane, like the lane they're running in, they vacate for whatever reason. If you look at it from like an all 52 view, you see all the guys coming out and fill in their particular lanes. And some guys will be like, oh, he's going left, so I'm going to like dive hard left instead of like slightly veering left because guys will start one way, reverse field. When they reverse field, if everybody just tries to pack into one corner and they reverse field, then the blockers essentially wall them off and they start peeling people off. And now you got a lane to run a kick return back. It's rare that kick returner nowadays is right in the middle, breaks 4 or 5 tackles. Doesn't like that's not how they're returning kicks anymore. It's usually one cut, foot in the ground, and then the guys aren't doing their job. So we hope Malik plays. We hope Jalen plays. Those are two big dynamic offensive pieces. We're going to need to score in this game. I don't see any scenario where Buffalo has less than 30 in this game. So for us to have any hope, we got to score. We need all our horses. We need all our guys. Let's hope they play. So I gave a some feedback on what the offense has been doing recently about how defenses are playing their linebackers a little bit further back for 2 reasons. One, they don't respect our running game at all because why would you? We don't run the ball and we don't really try to run the ball. And then secondly, the linebackers will realize the ball keeps going over my head. They keep throwing these digs and these in routes, and I'm just going to back into the route and kind of throw it off a little bit. Kurt Warner, Hall of Famer, one of the best, big game quarterbacks we've seen. Great story from bag boy to Super Bowl champion MVP. Kurt Warner's one of those ones. So Kurt Warner has a podcast. He does a bunch of stuff. He's like on a lot of different football platforms, but he does a main podcast. And he sat through for 50 minutes and broke down Dolphins film. This wasn't like he saw a highlight and then started trashing Tua. He literally went through the whole thing, the way a quarterback goes through everything. And what he realized is that I didn't see this when I was watching the game because I don't have the film that he has. He was saying that in most offenses, you go short to high, right? So I'll give an example. Tua goes back, you look to the flat first. Because our offense is based on quick strikes, somebody's open right quick, boom. Get the ball out quick, get it to the running back, turn up field, get it to the receiver in the flat, they turn up field, 5-7 yards. We just kind of dink and duck our way down the field. Sometimes you call a play to be a big play. Play action. Fake the running back, quarterback gets 5-7, sometimes 9 yards back, depending on what kind of quarterback you have. Get a big drop, the receiver runs a big route, there's a clear out somewhere, and the receiver's running really far, and you hope that the DB gets bit up by the run fake, or you hope that the receiver's just fast, you throw it really deep, right? In our offensive scheme, we have routes that run like on multiple levels. And what was happening is because the middle routes have been taken away, Tua's response, and I'm guessing, Coach McDaniel's response by extension, is get the ball out quick, really short. Oh, they're covering deep, get short. What Kurt Warner was saying is that actually there were deep routes open, But the way we were reading the offense is low to high, which is how most teams do. Short route, deep route. Kurt was saying the way we should be running the offense is you should look to the deeper route first and then check down to the shorter route, because if the deep route is not open, the short route should still be open, right? So if you have a running back kind of hanging out in the flat, he's going to be open right now. But if you look deep and you see Waddle breaking for a 20-yard gain, and then a corner like a safety drops down, you can say, "Oh, he's not open," and then go back to the running back. But if you just go straight to the flat, you miss that deep throw to Waddle. And he said, according to the film, he saw a lot of opportunity where guys were open for a deeper route, but because we were looking short, we didn't have a chance to complete the pass. There was more meat on the bone, and we kept taking bites. And we could have just like really gone crazy on it. I didn't. I mean, again, I'm trusting Kurt Warner implicitly because I assume he knows how to watch film, and I trust his eyes. He sees some of the quarterback stuff. He did mention also there was some poorly run routes where there are too many receivers in certain areas. So as a result, the windows weren't as open as they should be. If you're running a 10-yard route and I'm running like a route 7 yards behind you, there should be theoretically about 7 yards between us. But if my 10-yard route becomes a 12, 13-yard route and your route 17, then now that 7-yard window is a 4-yard window, which also means we're bringing two sets of defenders together. So now there's four people where theoretically I should be throwing where there are only two people. And so he said there were some lazy routes, or maybe just some missed routes. We assume on TV the receivers are running the right routes generally, but they may not be. They may have heard, post, and maybe it's supposed to be like a dig where you come back to the quarterback. So instead of breaking upfield, you should be curling back toward me. But because you didn't run the route properly, now it's like, oh man, now he's in the same space as my tight end. Where do I go with the ball? 2-yard check down. I think this is interesting to think about. He put this out on social media. It's like on Twitter or whatever. So I assume Buffalo's also seeing this. I hope Coach McDaniel and Tour are seeing this as well, because I like the idea of checking the ball down and going to the quick outs and all that. But that means that you have to sustain your offense for a long time. I mean, these are 8, 9, 12 play drives you have to do. That's a lot of execution. And any mistake, which we're prone to mistakes, offsides, fumble, bobble snap, misread, incomplete, now 2nd and 10. Like, it just puts you so far behind the 8 ball. Our offense needs some chunk plays. We just need them. We need them. We got to we got to move the ball down the field quickly. We got to get ourselves in scoring position more often. There's too many drives of 3 and out, 5 and out. We're not even getting to midfield, putting the ball, putting our defense back on the field. It's just too much of that. I like the idea of what Kurt was saying, like be a little bit more bold, but it does require more precision. I'm hoping that we have done the proper work this 3 days to see what he was saying. But I love the idea that if they're taking away the middle, there may be some deep corner type routes that are open, but that requires Tua to be on top of it. Precision, receivers, you got to run the right route, and then of course we got to execute it. Gonna jump into your comments, and one of the big questions I get before any game is, who are you looking for in this game? Like, who's going to be someone that stands out? I'm looking at, of course, the secondary, but specifically Rasul Douglas and Ethan Bonner. I mentioned Ethan Bonner before because he was playing well in the preseason before he got hurt, and he hasn't been able to really play in these first 2 games. I think he will get a lot of time on the field. The corners we've been playing have not really been up to snuff, so I think having some fresh blood out there was good. He was already in our rotation of guys playing before he got injured, so I think he has a chance to really solidify his spot. I think Jack is probably going to keep his spot on the field to some degree. I think Jason Marshall is going to stay in his slot. But I think if we have a 4 to 5 corner rotation, Ethan needs to be in there. And if he does his job well, then that would be fantastic. I'm looking most, though, at Rasul Douglas, because Rasul Douglas came to us by way of Buffalo. He has been on Buffalo for years. He knows that team well. He probably knows some Josh Allen tendencies. He probably knows they have a whole different receiver group than, I think Shakir was still there and maybe Keon Coleman, but they have a couple new guys like Palmer and Mac Hollins, guys who weren't there before. Not Mac Hollins. Palmer and I don't know who their fourth receiver is. They have a couple of receivers who weren't there when he was there. But Dalton Kincaid, those guys, Dawson Knox, they were all there. So I imagine after going through practice against these guys, week after week, day after day after day, you know a little something. You know a little something. Keon Coleman is just a bad matchup because he's just a big guy. Um, I don't think he's a great route runner, but he's a big physical guy. And then Shakir is just quick and in and out. I think we'll probably put Jason on him. But Rasul, I think if any insight about your time with the team can pay off, this is it. I want to see him maybe jumping a route or two because he sees something the receivers are doing, or maybe like Josh has a tell when he throws, like he does like a little shoulder hitch or a ball pat or something that Josh does that he's seen over and over again in reps. So he's like, oh, that's a throw, and then he can make a move on the pass and then make a play. I would love for him to get a pick in this game. Again, I think Buffalo is on offense overmatched. Like they're overmatched for us. But I want to see Rasul flash. This is the reason why we got him. We got you to come in here and make plays. We got you to come in here because you were good on Buffalo. We played against you. You made plays against us. I want to see him rise to the occasion against his old team and go out there and make a play because I do think there will be plays to make. I think Josh is going to throw a lot in this game because I think we're going to try to take away the run. Buffalo's offensive line is fantastic. They don't let you touch Josh, and they're very good against the run. Very good at running the ball. But you got to take something away. And I assume if I'm the DC for this game, I'm not Anthony Weaver, but if I was, my approach would be I need to heat up Josh and I need to stop them from running the ball. So I need to get guys in his face, get him off his square, force that ball to come out a little bit quicker. That means that we're going to have to commit more people to the front, which means that Buffalo should not be as good at running the ball. I'm worried about Josh taking the ball and running himself, but I imagine we're going to have more guys in the box. Linebackers should be playing down a little bit more. Corners got to make plays. It's just, you got to stay home. You got to tackle because there will be some short. Buffalo was a bunch of crossing routes. And crossing routes are annoying when you play a corner because you get picked off by traffic, by other receivers, sometimes by your own man. So you have to like veer around stuff and it's super annoying. In a zone, you can pass things off. I can start with the receiver in the corner. And then when you pass me, I'll take the guy that's crossing in front of you. You take my guy. There's ways to pass it off in zones where you're not just completely trailing and running behind somebody. It's super annoying to do that. But I'm trying to heat Josh up. I think he's going to throw the ball a lot. There will be many chances for Rasul. Like in his game 2 weeks ago, he threw a couple balls that could have easily been picked, but just weren't. The Jets just didn't show up. Who knows? This is Jets. But there'll be chances on the field for him. I saw Rasul make a little flash the first time he got in. I want to see him really come to play. Ethan the same. Jason, this is a big game for you because Buffalo throws a lot to their little quick receivers, and I do want to see him do something. But Rasul's the guy I'm looking at the most. Hopefully he shows up and makes us feel good about signing him. But as always, guys, thank you for tuning in to Dolphins Daily. We appreciate the love and support. We are at 1.99K followers as of this show. I was hoping to be at 2K to be like, woo, we made it. And I look back and I was like, man, didn't make it yet. But we will. Maybe this episode will be the one. Maybe by tomorrow we'll already be there. But so excited y'all been along with us for this journey, man. Thank y'all for helping us even get to this point. We do this for you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you next time on Dolphins Daily. Peace.